You are listening to Bedtime Dreamy Tales. Subscribe to our channel for new story. Story title: The Story of King Frost. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, there lived a peasant woman with her daughter, Katya, and her stepdaughter, Marina. Katya, with her golden hair and bright blue eyes, was spoiled by her mother and always got her way. Whatever she did was right in her mother's eyes, and she never had to lift a finger to help around the house. Marina, on the other hand, was a gentle and kind-hearted girl with soft brown eyes and a smile that could light up the darkest room. Despite her goodness, Marina's stepmother treated her cruelly. The poor girl was always blamed for everything, no matter how hard she tried to please. She did all the household chores, tended to the animals, and helped her father in the fields. Yet her stepmother never showed her any gratitude. Marina's father, a kind but weak man, loved her dearly but was unable to stand up to his wife. He often found himself in tears, silently lamenting the harsh treatment of his beloved daughter. He knew Marina was worth her weight in gold, so unselfish and good-hearted was she. But his pleas for kindness towards Marina fell on deaf ears. The wicked stepmother was determined to get rid of Marina by any means necessary. Day and night, she nagged at her husband, saying, "Send her away, old man. Send her away, anywhere, so that my eyes shan't be plagued by the sight of her, or my ears tormented by the sound of her voice. Send her out into the fields, and let the cutting frost do for her." At last, worn down by his wife's relentless demands, the old man succumbed to her wishes. On a bitterly cold winter morning, he placed Marina in a sledge, not even daring to give her a horsecloth to keep herself warm, and drove her out to the bare, open fields. He kissed her gently on the forehead, tears streaming down his face, and left her there, speeding home as fast as he could to avoid witnessing her miserable fate. Left alone in the freezing wilderness, Marina found a fir tree at the edge of the forest and sat down beneath it, weeping silently. The wind howled around her, and the biting cold seeped into her bones. Suddenly, she heard a faint sound, a crackling noise, like ice splitting in the depths of a frozen lake. It was King Frost, springing from tree to tree, cracking his fingers as he went. King Frost, with his icy blue robe and crown of icicles, was the ruler of the winter realm. His eyes sparkled like the frost-covered leaves, and his breath turned the air to shimmering ice crystals. He approached Marina, and with a crisp crackling sound, alighted beside her. "Maiden," he snapped out, "do you know who I am? I am King Frost, King of the Red Noses." "All hail to you, great king," answered Marina in a gentle, trembling voice. "Have you come to take me?" "Are you warm, maiden?" he asked. "Quite warm, King Frost," she replied, though she shivered as she spoke. King Frost stooped down and bent over the girl. The crackling sound grew louder, and the air seemed filled with icy knives and darts. Again he asked, "Maiden, are you warm? Are you warm, you beautiful girl?" Though her breath was almost frozen on her lips, she whispered gently, "Quite warm, King Frost." King Frost gnashed his teeth, cracked his fingers, and his eyes sparkled more brightly. The crackling, crisp sound grew louder than ever, and for the last time he asked, "Maiden, are you still warm? Are you still warm, little love?" By now, Marina was so stiff and numb that she could barely gasp. "Still warm, O king." Her gentle, courteous words and uncomplaining ways touched King Frost deeply. He took pity on her and wrapped her in warm furs. He covered her with thick blankets and fetched a great box filled with beautiful jewels and a rich robe embroidered in gold and silver. Marina put on the robe and looked more lovely than ever. King Frost stepped into his sledge with Marina, harnessed to 6 white horses, and they sped away, leaving the icy field behind. Meanwhile, back at the cottage, the wicked stepmother was eagerly awaiting news of Marina's demise. She busied herself preparing pancakes for the funeral feast, convinced that her stepdaughter would soon freeze to death. She turned to her husband and said, "Old man, you had better go out into the fields and find your daughter's body and bury her." Just as the old man was leaving the house, the little dog under the table began to bark, saying, "Your daughter shall live to be your delight. Her daughter shall die this very night." "Hold your tongue, you foolish beast," scolded the woman. "There's a pancake for you, but you must say, 'Her daughter shall have much silver and gold.' His daughter is frozen quite stiff and cold." But the doggy ate up the pancake and barked, saying, "His daughter shall wear a crown on her head. Her daughter shall die unwooed, unwed." The old woman tried to coax the doggy with more pancakes and terrify it with blows, but it barked on, always repeating the same words. Suddenly, the door creaked and flew open, and a great heavy chest was pushed in. Behind it came Marina, radiant and beautiful, in a dress all glittering with silver and gold. For a moment, the stepmother's eyes were dazzled. Then she called to her husband, "Old man, yoke the horses at once into the sledge and take my daughter to the same field and leave her on the same spot exactly." So the old man took Katya and left her beneath the same tree where he had parted from Marina. In a few minutes, King Frost came past, and looking at Katya, he said, "Are you warm, maiden?" "What a blind old fool you must be to ask such a question," she answered angrily. "Can't you see that my hands and feet are nearly frozen?" King Frost sprang to and fro in front of her, questioning her and receiving only rude, rough words in reply. At last, he grew very angry, cracked his fingers, gnashed his teeth, and froze her to death. In the cottage, the stepmother was waiting impatiently for her daughter's return. As time passed, she grew more anxious. "Get out the horses, old man, to go and fetch her home," she said to her husband. "But see that you are careful not to upset the sledge and lose the chest." The doggy beneath the table began to bark, saying, "Your daughter is frozen quite stiff and cold, and shall never have a chest full of gold." "Don't tell such wicked lies," scolded the woman. "There's a cake for you. Now say, 'Her daughter shall marry a mighty king.'" At that moment, the door flew open, and the stepmother rushed out to meet her daughter. She found Katya's frozen body and took her in her arms. As she did, a wave of icy coldness swept over her, and she too was chilled to death. Marina and her father, freed from the cruelty of the wicked stepmother and stepsister, lived peacefully in their cottage. Marina's kind heart and gentle nature had won the favor of King Frost, and she was blessed with a life of happiness and abundance. The villagers often spoke of her tale, teaching their children the virtues of kindness, patience, and resilience. And so, Marina's story lived on, a testament to the power of goodness and the magic of a loving heart. If you like this story, please give this video a like. For more stories, go to bedtimedreamytales.com. See you in the next story.